Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the WellWave Now Backstory series. And today we have the pleasure of speaking with Catherine Niemiec, and she is going to enlighten us today with a little teaser of what she does professionally. But we want to learn more about you, Catherine, and get to know you a little better. So, welcome to the show, Catherine. It's great to have you on.
Well, thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to reaching out to as many people as possible. Thank you for helping to get the word out.
Yeah, excellent. Well, we look forward to learning more about you and what you do and where you came from. And I know you're now a fellow Arizonian, and I'm based here in Arizona. You're based in Arizona, and so it's fun to talk to somebody from my home state here. But where did you grow up? You're not originally from Arizona, are you?
Well, I was born in Michigan, but my family moved out. And my father moved and worked for Motorola when it was a long time ago. But I grew up here, grade school, high school, Wallace and Ladmo, Legend City, all those things.
Wow, you've lived in the state longer than me. And now I was born here, but then moved away for most of my life, and then just moved back about 12 years ago. But you did a lot of
Big surf, yes.
for your informative years were here in Arizona then.
Yes, yes. And it wasn't until I went to law school in San Francisco. Granted, my mother's Filipino, and she raises the kids. Somehow we get this message to be a doctor, a lawyer, or marry one, and so we're groomed that way. But I went to law school in San Francisco, and it was there, believe it or not, that cold, damp weather kept getting in my lungs, and I would get bronchitis. And after I'd become licensed and I was practicing and the stress and the work, I kept getting bronchitis. So the nurse practitioner actually said to me, if you really want to get well, meet me in Oakland's Chinatown. So I met her at a shop, and they had these barrels of strange things and a long counter and drawers full of all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff.
Now,
But
Catherine, that's very, very interesting. But you kind of just fast forward it through 20 years there. We got to take you back a little bit. So Motorola was actually in the Phoenix area.
yes,
So
it was.
you mentioned the high school. What was it like growing up in Phoenix for you? And were you an only child? Or what was it like when you were coming up?
Okay, well, I'm the oldest, and so I have a sister who's younger than me, and then a brother came along. And I remember living in Scottsdale. There was this Indian wash, and when it would rain, the thing would just be flooded. But I remember many sunny days, and swimming. Swimming was a big thing in Arizona, and Smitty's. I don't know, you wouldn't know this. It was a shopping center, and just going shopping and the various places around town and going to lots of picnics at these various parks because all the Filipinos would get together and have their picnics, and everybody would bring food. And it was just a great way there. So it was nice growing up. Oh, but then we actually, Motorola brought us to Hong Kong. We
Oh,
moved to Hong
wow.
Kong for a year, and that was interesting, getting to see a different culture, different food. And then we came back to Schaumburg, Illinois, because Motorola is there as well, and the cold snowy weather, and said, "Oh, it's too cold." Came back to Arizona, and that's where I grew up.
So it was just you and your sister then, as far as
And my
siblings?
brother.
Oh, you do have a
So
brother as well.
yes, yes, and
Okay.
he also became an attorney. He's a public defender down in Tucson. And my sister was more creative, and they did metal work. She and her husband now they live in California. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. But as the oldest, you were probably almost a second mom to your siblings.
Well, I had to be perfect, quite frankly. There was some of that going on. Do the right thing. We had to, I learned how to make people happy and take care of them. Filipino culture, that's very important. And that's why there's great educators, nurses, physicians. We just take care of people and hardworking. And my father, the Polish side, also hardworking and kind. So very religious and taking care of people. So
Yeah.
doing the right thing. And so as I learned about this medicine in California and how well it worked, when I came home to Arizona, I wanted to bring that back to Arizona. And so
Yeah, you still
Tim,
just want
Tim,
to get in
Tim's
that minute.
smiling because you're fast forwarding on this
I'm
again.
sorry, I'm fast forwarding.
We're,
Okay.
we're, we're gonna we're
Younger.
gonna keep we're gonna keep you in your youth for a while.
Okay, that's fine. I should visit it more often.
So you mentioned about the traditions that you had and from the Filipino environment and the values that were ingrained on you from both sides.
Yes.
Now, how about activities when you were younger? Were you an athlete as well? You mentioned swimming, or did you
Family
play
wasn't
music?
very, excuse me. I would ride bikes, swim. We weren't really into sports. My family wasn't into sports, so that was maybe a little bit of track and field stuff, but that was about it. But I love to read. My favorite thing, we'd go to the library and I'd check out 12, 20 books. They'd have that thing where every 10 books you get a little stamp. I would just take 10 at a time and bring it. And I was an avid reader.
How long did it take you to get through those 10 books?
Oh, less than in a few days, depending, you know. But I remember many lazy summers and reading and swimming, and that was what we did growing up. And going to church with our family, you know, that was a little bit on that Sunday thing. And but that was it. And traveling in other cultures and people, we'd socialize with our friends and things like that. So
Now, traditionally, both the Polish and the China and the Filipinos are Catholic. So was that a Catholic church you were going to? Was
yeah, Catholic. But honestly, it was all about food and people coming together. And so my mother actually wrote a book, a Polish Filipino cookbook. And
Wow.
yeah. And so, but that was it. And just being with other people, that was a big thing. And
So
so I
who,
learned how to communicate.
okay, who do you think most influenced you in your life growing up?
Well, my father was accepting, loving, hard worker, and my mother always was envision and pushing. So both of them hardworking. They, for some reason, I've learned how not to give up and keep working at things, and also striving to find solutions. And I think that's helping our friends, and that's what
Mm.
led to some of what I do.
So your dad was really a big influence then on you and in the way that you carry yourself today, it sounds.
He was just a steady, friendly, hardworking person and strong faith. When I would go to him with my problems, he wouldn't be judging me, whereas my mother would be trying to fix and control it. Because there's a lot of enmeshment in Filipino families. The therapists have Filipino clients because for that reason. But my father would just, you know, make it real simple and, you know, what do you need? And rely on God and just the faith and hardworking. And that was nice. That was comforting.
Mhm.
And mom, I had to be careful what I said because it would be critiqued, but it's okay. You know, uh, but I learned a lot from her about how she was with always helping her friends, bringing food to them, helping the neighbors and the women when they'd come together in these events, these parties at someone's home, all the women be very loud and all the men are over here, you know, maybe watching TV, talking and letting the women do their thing. But it was a lot of fun. I
Yeah.
felt we had fun. So.
Now, do you have your family of your own now today?
Yeah, well, yes, it's gone through changes. So you know how it is when you end up marrying someone, you either marry someone who's like your dad or your mother. I married a lot of mothers who, you know, still trying to resolve that being accepted for who you are and loved. And so I am currently divorced, but I had the gift from that last marriage of a son. I thought I was getting too old. I started taking my Chinese herbs, and lo and behold, all of a sudden I'm pregnant, and he was a surprise. And I had him at 42, my
Oh,
son.
wow.
Yeah, so he's 20 now. He's over at Embry-Riddle studying engineering, and he's definitely a mix of the both of us. And um, so that was a gift. And I was like, oh, I should have been doing this earlier. These
Right.
children are gifts. And
Yeah.
so, but the school that I created was my first kid. It took up all my energy and everything else. So I honestly felt like my son
We,
was my
we're
second
going to get
child.
into that. Yeah, we're going to get into that next. But the reason I ask about your own, family unit is quite often we bring some of the traditions from, that we loved about our childhood and we bring those to our own families. Is there any one tradition? Is it still focused
Yeah.
around food?
Oh, food is important to us. Yes, we definitely like to go out to eat and try new cuisines and preparing at home. And books. We have books in the house. We love to read and have them around. It's almost as if it gets absorbed. And music. Books and music are very big in our family and culture. So
All right. So now, Catherine, we're
yeah.
going to move into your wellness world. But what we're going to do that is I want to ask you, what do you consider the essence of your wellness work now? And what do you personally get out of it?
What is okay? So the essence of my wellness world now is just connecting people to what's happening in their bodies and the mind body connection. And even the environment has an impact. We'll have a very polluted day, and within days, people are getting respiratory illnesses. So helping people see these connections and how simple it is to bring some of that back into balance. And so part of that is um, I can hear my phone. It's got the Star Trek ring on it. I'm a Star Trek person. Anyways, because that team works well, and I envision that team, and they handle everything, the Star Trek team. Anyway, the crew. So, but the essence really is getting people back in balance and connected to where they're supposed to be. Almost everything can be solved that way.
And what does that do for you personally to do that? What do you get out of that?
Well, I know I'm helping them. I know there's a way, there's a solution. They don't have to suffer. So that is gratifying for me. It's that service piece that I grew up with, is helping to make people happy. And I know I can solve a problem. And I try to do it for everybody that I see. And graduation, when I see these students finished, able to move on and do something and make a difference in the world, that also is great for me, because then I know that I've made a difference out there too. So it's
That's
just
excellent.
the person behind the scene to help.
So, Catherine, we know you went off to the San Francisco Bay Area to go to law school, and then you practiced law for a little while. How long did you practice law?
Well, you learn a lot of different types of law while you're in school. I did criminal defense or prosecution. I also did insurance defense and helping companies like Honda for their little ATVs, or doctors, physicians, things like that. But what I found, when you have these lawyers working together, it can get really stressful. And I said, oh, I have that in a family at home. I don't need to have that. So I moved into legal education, and I started helping people prepare for the bar exam. And that was a very, again, helping side of me. And
Okay.
that's how I learned about business and how to run a class and to set things up and to recruit students. And I spent a few years as a director of a national legal bar review company and helping people with that. And
Okay. That explains a lot about your desire then to start a school, or to run a school in what you're doing today. But take us back to that transition now from law into wellness. Was it because of the chronic bronchitis that you were experiencing, or
oh, yes.
when did that shift happen?
Yeah, well, when that single herbal tea cured it in literally minutes, I was like, oh. So then I went on to see what acupuncture was about, and I was very intrigued. I learned about herbs. And so I ended up taking a course from the Institute of Chinese Herbology in Oakland, and just fell in love. And it made logical sense because my analytical mind had to ask the questions about, is this for real? Does it work? And it did. And it was a real science on its own. So I went on to study that and become trained as a practitioner. And then by that point, I realized, okay, a warmer climate is better for me. So, and my Polish father always like, come home, come home. It's nicer here. And so I did move back to Arizona. And at that point, I saw there wasn't an acupuncture law as it was in other states. There weren't any acupuncture schools. I thought, well, I still want to learn this and take it to the next level. So I actually got admitted to the first class of the naturopathic school. But I realized that I wanted to learn the whole Asian medicine piece. So that was a different direction. So I didn't go that direction. And by then I was a trained herbalist and helping people. So I partnered with the Southwest Institute of Healing Arts. And it was like a massage school and other classes. And so I brought in that training. I started to train people on herbology, acupressure, things like that. And that group of students said, let's start a school. You do it. So we did.
Okay. And so now you've had the school for, you said, what, about 30 years?
30 years now.
And I'm sure, well, I'm not sure, maybe it's all been a nice, smooth upward ride throughout that 30 years. But if it hasn't, what kind of keeps you going on your challenging days and challenging
Oh,
timeframes?
yes, yes. Well, we've had lots of ups and downs, and the economy is one of the biggest impact on that. And then you had things like COVID that threw things off track. And just growing. We grew from one classroom to two to three to our new location, and over on Bethany Home Road and Third Street. But our current challenge right now is recovering from the economy, which has had a negative impact on many schools. Some of them have closed in our industry. And what keeps me going is seeing how, well, this is a broader um, aspect to this, but seeing how life, God, universe impacts that. and guides us along our way and makes the difference. And actually, one of the things I enjoy is the I Ching, the readings, which actually connect you to source or God and reminding you that things go like this and there's timings and cycles. That's kind of how this medicine works, is looking at weather cycles, environmental cycles. All of feng shui is based on these cycles and how things change. So seeing how that plays a role in not just your environment, but in what's happening this year versus next year and next. So when I
Mhm.
put that all together, it's a very interesting perspective that I see, a broader perspective. The same way that when you have a physician looking at one thing, the ear, nose, throat, or the feet, or the stomach, Asian medicine steps back and sees all of it connected by these electrical meridians. And so this up here is connected to my liver down here, things like that. But also then you have the seasons and the weather and the timing of life all playing a role in that. That's a big, big picture to see how it's connected.
Yeah.
So when you ask me, how do I get through this? It's a combination of all of that. And just actually the number one thing I'm working on always is staying present and not thinking as much. And if I cannot think, then the chi flows normally. And actually life works better that way. Who was it that Mark Ruffalo, who plays the Hulk? He's a meditator. And he says when he meditates, everything in his life works, as if it steps into work
Yeah.
out. And I find that to be true. So the more I
Yeah.
do that, the better, actually.
There's a lot of wisdom in that, right? And not over worrying about something and letting it work out um, for you. And I think too many people jump on something then that they get obsessed with and worry and worry and worry when at the end of the day it's all going to work out
It
how
will.
it was supposed to work out to begin with, right?
Well, that's a challenge for me. I'm a classic Aries. I jump in and make
Yeah,
things happen and force the issue. And I have to learn to say, okay, wait and see. And I see so much work out.
yeah,
Other people rely on me, think I'm not doing my job, but I actually am waiting to see how things unfold and how
yeah.
people solve their problems and so forth. So,
So, Catherine, when you were talking about, drinking that tea, whatever
yeah,
that concoction
very
was,
bitter, horrible tasting tea. Yeah.
that it was awful tasting and but immediately you saw results. I
Yes.
had to look up a series that I saw a couple years back with Billy Bob Thornton because I couldn't remember the name of the series, but he was injured
Uh-huh.
and was really struggling, was living up in the San Francisco area and was going to a Chinese medicine doctor
Mhm.
and he was getting checked out. The guy was writing little scribbles on a paper, and he then went downstairs to the daughter, probably of the practitioner, and she made up the tea for him.
Yes.
And that I was just picturing that vivid picture of how that all worked out is that medicine man knew exactly what he needed and wrote it down. She put the herbs together, all the different ingredients together for him, and he drank the concoction. So,
That's
uh,
exactly. That's exactly how it was. This gentleman who, elderly gentleman, Chinese, didn't speak any English. He looked at my tongue and he felt my pulses, of which there are three on each wrist for each of the different organs. And he wrote out a prescription. I took it to the counter, came home with a bag of twigs and leaves and weird things in there, put in a pot with water and start cooking it. And my roommate at the time's like, "What is that?
Mhm.
It smells awful." I strained it and drank it, and not even half a cup. And I was like, oh my gosh, my lungs are clearing. I'm feeling energy. I was so impressed. I was so impressed. And I went,
So your lungs cleared, you followed the path to get into your healing arts.
yes.
You've overcome your challenging days and you still go through them. But now, when days when you're not feeling challenged, do you have a dream or do you have a dream project that you're working on or a dream goal you want to reach?
Well, the big picture, they do these mind maps. I've done those where, but I could envision this, obviously creating a college now with doctorate degrees and a clinic. I would love to see a hospital like they have in China where it's Asian medicine based hospital. Sure, they have the Western medicine there as well because you need drugs and certain drugs and operation rooms and things like that in case of those emergencies. But everything else is treated from this other perspective, and they work together. I've seen that model in Asia. I'd love to see it happen here in the United States and in Arizona, which is one of the most innovative healthcare states. So yes, that and we can even have homeopathy in there, which is the nanoparticle version of herbs, in my opinion. That's just my perspective. But both of them work on the energetics of the person to bring them back to health. And so a hospital is one, but I see this going into um, restaurants serving food according to your needs. If you need a yin tonic based meal or a yang meal or something for the liver or the kidneys, it could happen that way. Home cleaning design based on feng shui and the elements and how that really works to serve you in and feeling that way. And helping people, children from early ages, learning how to just see things a different way and also thinking, because every thought we have affects a different organ in our body. And this meditation piece of just being open and not thinking, and allowing the chi to flow normally makes a difference. And it allows other things to work on your behalf. So there's a book out there called Don't Believe Everything You Think by Daniel Nguyen, and great book. If you learn how to not think, which is the toughest thing about meditation. So what do I see happening? This thought process, this perspective being more in our culture and affecting everything we do, whether it's education or business, food, sleep, healthcare. It has a lot to offer, and I would love to see some of that happen. Maybe I only get to do this much of it, but perhaps it will happen globally. But be able to see some of that would
Well,
be,
that's awesome. That's
yeah.
awesome. Well, Catherine, we are now at the rapid fire portion of our backstory here. And these are just
Okay.
some fun facts about you and just preferences for you. So, are you more of an early bird or a night owl?
If I've had enough sleep, I'm a good early bird, but a lot of thoughts come at nighttime, and it takes a lot for me to go to bed. I'm learning now, learning at my age to go to bed earlier to make that happen.
Okay, good. And then, do you prefer the mountains or the beach?
Ooh, I like mountains because I can see the perspective of everything and these vistas. I can definitely relax at the beach, but mountains for sure.
Okay. And do you prefer coffee, tea, or something else?
Oh my goodness, all of it. I'm beginning to appreciate coffee, but I've been a big tea person. But something else, a blending of all those things sometimes.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Well, I was thinking there's not a lot of beaches here in Arizona, but we can always travel to a beach.
Sure.
Unless, when I was a little boy, I do remember going with my cousins to Big Sur.
Big
Uh,
surf, that was the beach.
that was the beach here in the Phoenix area. It's a Big Surf. So, well, thank you, Catherine, for coming on and letting us get to know you a little better. And we look forward to having you on the Well Wave Now podcast in the future. And until next time, stay curious, stay empowered, and remember, wellness, it's in you.